What if I told you weight loss is not about willpower, cutting carbs, or working harder in the gym, but instead comes down to flipping a specific switch in your body, one that helps flush out unnecessary calories? Heart surgeon and nutrition expert Dr. Stephen Gundry is revealing a new, simple, but insanely effective way to help get a slim, energized, and healthy body with no deprivation, restrictions, or fads. MCT Wellness can help you flip that switch yourself from the comfort of your own home. This powerful blend of fat-flushing MCT powders and antioxidant-rich polyphenols is designed to help you unlock your body's fat-burning, energy-producing potential. What's even better is that it's a delicious drink. All you do is add a scoop to water and enjoy. Help unlock your body's potential by going to GundryMD.com/energy and order right now to get up to 53% off your order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's GUNDRYMD.com/energy.
Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit Bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Wow. Welcome to Your Mom is a Check-In.
I'm Sandeep.
I'm Milana Weintraub.
And we are doing this as a bi-weekly check-in episode in between our bi-weekly Your Mom is a Podcast episode.
That's nice.
It's one of my top 2 favorite formats for the show. Easily in the top 2. And Milana, your hair is wavy and just popping. Oh, what's going on right now? Like, why is it a character in
I promise
like a 1940s film right now? You know?
Wow. It's I think it's doing more of a 70s thing, but honestly, it's just a last minute save. It's a dry shampoo magic secret, which is a thing I don't really want to go into with you because I am pretty sure you don't know what it is.
Wow. That is so
I'm just not here to woman-splain hair products to you right now, Sandeep. This is a parenting podcast.
How do you think I get this beard so perfect and wavy?
With dry shampoo.
Beard shampoo. Hey, do you want to know a fun fact about the word shampoo?
Let's hear it.
It's an Indian word. Shampoo from
that's
shampoo.
Where we were going.
But did you know that?
I didn't.
Okay, so...
But I knew that if you had a fact about it, it was going to be related to the fact that your people are responsible for it. Do you know the roots of it? Can you follow up that fact with
all I know is that
history?
It's shampoo. It's like shampoo, and that we were like the first people to wash our hair correctly, which is why we have such good hair, dude. That's why you see these Indian women, their hair's like down below their knees.
That's why. Do you know that extensions, often when you buy hair extensions, they're from Indian women?
Yeah.
Isn't that just so messed up?
No, it's not. It's fine. So it's our natural resource. It's like how the Chileans have copper mines. We have just an abundance of well shampooed hair.
But just buying other people's body products is such a weird element of capitalism trade.
People need hair, and we provide hair. What do you want from me?
I just hope it's not a scam. I guess I hope the people who are growing their hair out to sell it once every 4 years are making a good living doing that, you know?
It's like Christmas trees.
It's not like that.
Like Christmas tree farms. Like they have to keep replanting, and so they need like different plots to grow at different rates.
That's also a really ridiculous hustle. I hope Christmas tree farmers are getting their fair lot
Yes, indeed. All right, well, back to the real reason you're here, okay? We got your mama's check-in. We're going to go deeper into the discussion of the topics that we brought up with our guest last time, which was Ben Sheenan.
Who I loved this episode so much, mainly because Ben is a dear friend and he's such an amazing guest because he's an amazing host of many things.
You said it was your favorite episode of all time.
I am not ready to start ranking our episodes. However, I do also feel like maybe you and I are getting better at this. Like, you have many podcasts. This is my only podcast, so I don't have a lot of opportunities to grow here. And I feel like we're finding our groove.
Yeah, you got to get some reps in there, You got to just hit the gym. You take as many 3-point shots as possible, and they'll start to fall when come game time, right?
Hey,
Milana,
thanks,
you
coach.
Get it.
I get
it.
No
problem.
It's string cheese, as they say. Okay, so we started this episode with our check-in. I mean, like our pre-show check-in, and we talked about a few things. Yeah. We talked about Baby Sniffer, which is the character that I bring out around my son, and the many voices you do, which which actually comes back in the episode. This idea of play and playfulness and how helpful that is in parenting.
Well, I liked how you put it. When in doubt, play harder. Cool
it is. Nice I think slogan. That's actually helpful in relationships too. It's like if you're struggling, how do you love harder? And it just happens that our kids' love language is play.
I think you're right that it's like all of our love languages are actually play. Like you can always find that, if a conversation is like kind of getting stodgy or boring, or there's like ulterior motives and someone's trying to clearly sell someone on something, the second that it goes to like something playful is when everybody kind of perks up, right? And like kind of leans into the moment of what's happening. Or like, a TED Talk is like, the difference between a TED Talk and a lecture, I'd say, is that like people who do TED Talks like know how to keep it playful while they're doing it, even if they're describing like terrible things happening across the world or something.
Yeah. And I mean, humor is the thing that makes a great like bridesmaid speech great, or a great any way to like keep people's attention is through joy.
I that's why I always say that like improv, I think that people underestimate its value as like a life skill.
For sure.
That like everyone should be taking improv classes at like pretty young ages, ideally, but even if it's never too late to start kind of thing, because I think it is a practice in the art of the conversation, in the art of keeping people's attention, which everyone now knows and talks about as the most commodifiable thing in the world is people's attention, and how valuable that is to be able to grab it, capture it, hold it, and how fleeting it and how much more challenging it is now more than ever to continue to do that. So practicing play really, really matters.
I years ago watched Pete Holmes open his talk show that he had on CBS way back when. I'm not even sure if a clip of this exists, but he said something that really struck me. I mean, he was just, being funny, but I loved the sentiment behind it, which is when someone is trying to play with you, like when someone cracks a joke,
I love this.
You don't have to do the like, was that funny? That wasn't funny.
You can
just laugh at it and or play back, because what that person is doing is giving you an emotional bid of love. They're like, I would like to delight you. And that intention is so pure and kind that for you to say, I don't accept your emotional bit of kindness and love and trying to brighten my day. Actually, I opt out, is like a bummer to you, but also a way for you to not practice generosity back, which feels so selfishly good to be generous.
Yeah, he talks about like sort of laughing at bad jokes kind of a thing. Like, isn't that the idea? He's like, I'll laugh, because I think it's like, he's basically saying yes and.
Yes, and which, going back to what you said, is the main principle of improv. And I think we should maybe teach a improv for parents class. There is a great book that my husband read called Playful Parenting, which is honestly a lot of what you do already, Sandeep, which is like doing the voices, if you're wrestling, letting them win. When your kid is like at the stage that they want to shoot guns, which my 3-year-old is already there.
Oh yeah, they want to punch something or they want to shoot something for sure.
How do you make it that they're like shooting love rays or shooting spider webs instead of shooting bullets? Or it's it really is such a strategic way to manipulate your children.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny because I posted that thing that kind of went viral, the clip about playing D&D with your kid in the bath, like the best bath toy is.
Did that go viral?
It did pretty well. I mean, it got like.
I'm so happy for you because I'm happy for me because it was my idea.
Sure. Yes, Anne.
when you told me that, I was like, Sandeep, you got to make a video about this.
You did say that. Yes, you did absolutely say that. Had I already been thinking it? Yes. Was I trying it out on the show? Yeah. But still.
Did I validate it and kind of push it over the edge?
Yes. And are you like one of the most important people to validate things that I think are funny or not? Absolutely.
Oh, great.
100%. So it's, it got like over 500,000 views and it's,
hell yeah.
Whatever. But there's a lot of comments in there and some of them are just like, this sounds exhausting, like this, like, and like, yeah, sure. If you have all the time in the world to be with your kid during their bath. And I'm just like, okay, so you're just leaving your kid in the bath? Like what's happening here? But it's like,
can you recap in just 2 sentences what that video was?
It just was, hey, the best bath toy is a 20-sided dice and that you can play essentially Dungeons & Dragons with your kids in the bath. And it's essentially doing a collective story together. And when you reach a point in the story, like where they have to make a choice or they're just like, oh, and then I convince all the aliens that they should board the ship with me. And you're like, okay, well then roll a die to see if that happens. And they just love it. It's so leaned in. It just really captures their imagination and it really keeps them in the story. It keeps you engaged. It's fun. And so that's why I'm like, hey, this has made bath time so much fun. Cause then I weave in like shampooing and soaping and all that stuff into the story so that I can get through that quicker.
Brilliant.
And so I'm like, my response to those people is that like, I want to reframe it in their brains where like, actually the way that you're doing it is swimming upstream and this is the least exhausting. It's actually energizing if you kind of know how to be playful. And by the way, it's more time efficient. You can get, sometimes our stories are 5 minutes and we're in and out of that bath because I just move them through the paces and I just weave it into the story. But I think you're right that it is sort of a practice of learning how to be a kid again, to tell stories, to agree with each other, to connect. Those are all things that unfortunately are sort of worked out of us by the time we become adults.
For sure.
What if I told you weight loss is not about willpower, cutting carbs, or working harder in the gym, but instead comes down to flipping a specific switch in your body, one that helps flush out unnecessary calories? Heart surgeon and nutrition expert Dr. Stephen Gundry is revealing a new, simple, but insanely effective way to help get a slim, energized, and healthy body with no deprivation, restrictions, or fads. MCT Wellness can help you flip that switch yourself from the comfort of your own home. This powerful blend of fat-flushing MCT powders and antioxidant-rich polyphenols is designed to help you unlock your body's fat-burning, energy-producing potential. What's even better is that it's a delicious drink. All you do is add a scoop to water and enjoy. Help unlock your body's potential by going to GundryMD.com/energy and order right now to get up to 53% off your order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's GUNDRYMD.com/energy.
Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality Cosmopolitans, Martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
At the beginning of the episode, you talked about your anxiety around leaving your little one to go shoot this big fancy movie with a big fancy set.
I had an overwhelmingly positive experience in every way, including the thing that more experienced moms and dads told me would happen, which is that I came back with a full tank, missing my kid, missing my husband, wanting to be there overtime for everybody. Like the day after I got back, my husband was like, hey, can I go sleep in the other room so that I can get a full night's sleep and that you take care of this kid if he wakes up in the night? And I was so happy to wake up with him. I was like, I got you, bud, whatever you need. Whereas previously I may have had some frustrations, I was just so eager to be. And even now, I am like,
the reservoir was full.
Yes, my friend, when we used to live in New York, my friend told me the secret to living in New York is leaving it regularly. And I wonder if there's something about parenting, especially maybe motherhood, where something that
being more absentee.
That's something, just leave. Something that requires you to be so hands-on, that is so constantly stimulating.
Yeah.
That having a break from that might be a really, really good thing. So
please talk.
That was great. And I was gone for 3 weeks, which I do think was too much. There was at the end, they were like, hey, you can go home a day early. And I was like, yeah, please. Like whatever it takes to go home. That definitely did happen. But I had alone time.
3 weeks is a long time. Yeah.
It's a long ass time.
Yeah.
But I had like a few days where I didn't need to go into work early and I didn't set the alarm and I slept for like 10 hours, my dude. Like I
believe it.
just, my body recovered.
Right.
And, and also I got to do the thing where I just let my mind wander, where I would walk around places and didn't, I knew that the time zone in LA wasn't matching up with the time zone in London. And I knew nobody would need me. And I could just not check my phone and go for a walk and think whatever thoughts happened to pop in. And I actually really started to appreciate the magic of mind wandering, which I can't really do much. So, because my day is so scheduled and so full of other stimuli that I had time to just process and think about things and wander into a coffee shop. I made a TikTok, by the way, about an amazing coffee shop I found in Chichester. So it was just like a treat. It was such a treat in many ways. And then also the professional elements of, seeing great people do their thing.
Do you get more jealous of your friends without kids, or do you actually feel like worse for them in a way because like how does it sort of, or do you even think about that at all?
Oh, I think about people without kids versus people with kids all the time.
Me too.
And
so I'm wondering if this experience affected that in any way.
I think I had both, and this is a answer or maybe a cheat. Because yes, I have one part of me that's like, oh, how nice. You just get to focus on your career, or you just get to travel to this place and do a show here and then travel to this place and try out a new city and all of that stuff. But then the other side of it is that I have this person that fills my life up with something that is different and meaningful. And I think part of it is that it's just not as societally shiny as like I'm trying out a new city or like I have this big brave career accomplishment. You know what I mean? It's not like as social media worthy. Yeah. However, it feels really personally fulfilling.
Cape Town. Right.
What do you think?
Right.
Where do you land on that?
Because I recently spent my most time away from the little dude, but not in a Ryan Gosling movie.
Yeah. You spent 8 days with your dad who's been unwell. How's he doing today?
Right. He's doing better. This guy, man, this guy just like, I don't know if he's like trying to get like the loyalty rewards card filled up, but for strokes, like to get his 5th one for free or something. But like, he is like, I don't know, man. It's like, he's like literally confounding neurologists. And I'm like, well, I guess there's something to friggin' 8 hours a day of yoga and meditation, because he's doing pretty well, knock on all the wood. And, but yeah, just to kind of come back to the question, which was, I did think a lot about it, and but I found myself like binge watching shows that I just haven't done. And I was like, wow, what's this like again? This is crazy.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed it. But then I was like, yeah, but this wouldn't feel, it's like, it felt a little bit like candy, where you're just like, yeah, this is so good and yummy, but like, it doesn't really quite feel like the meal. I'm like, yeah, it's super fun to have Halloween and to go nuts for a night, but like, I wouldn't want this day in, day out. And so I think I would feel unfulfilled now, but I only think that now, having been on the other side of having kids. I don't know that, like it's a little bit like the Matrix, it's like, I wonder if I just sort of took the blue pill kind of thing, and like would be the, like, I don't know that I don't know that I would elect to go back, but I doubt that if I didn't take the pill that I would be that upset about it. If that makes sense.
Well, I think part of it is that doing hard things is really fulfilling. Like parenting is like working out. It is hard to do, but it feels really good afterwards. Or climbing a mountain, or finishing a project, or even like doing a complicated math problem. Like, there's something challenging about it that feels good because you've overcome something to get there. Right. Whereas binging a show is like, or scrolling on social media is easy and perhaps not as fulfilling.
Yeah, but but it's not to say that our friends with kids, without kids, don't do hard work. They do, and they accomplish 100%. Many things. And I look at their careers, and I'm like, if I didn't have a kid, oh man, but like, so I mean, I'm sure they feel very fulfilled.
Yeah,
by those,
and I did before I had a kid.
Would you just fill it with other hard things? But I don't, I was as I was dealing with the elder care aspect of my life and the kid care aspect, and like balancing those and keeping a career going and all that stuff. And it was just like, it's just amazing how we're such sponges and gluttons for taking on monumental tasks. I'm like, how is any human supposed to be able to do all this? Somehow we pull it off, but it feels like so much.
I think we're not supposed to do all this.
We're not probably. It's probably supposed to have a lot more community to help bear the weight.
Yeah. We're not all supposed to like be paying for our own houses. We're not supposed to be taking care of our own child, being the only person that's taking care of our kid or our elderly, or, this is not natural, and it is exhausting.
Yeah, it's a lot. So now what?
So we figured it out.
So we need better policy that helps people with childcare and elderly care and better healthcare, and
I think a whole rethinking of the system,
which starts here. Which I think, going back to now our episode, which was like probably our most political episode that we've had, in talking to Ben Sheenan and talking about how he introduced us to some new concerns around the election that I'd never thought of before. How much that stuff is like, how much our politics are extension of our values, and they are a measuring or a mirror, a funhouse mirror maybe, as to where our societal values really are. And I guess, how deep do we want to go into this rabbit hole? But it's just scary to me. It's scary to me where we're at and what choices we have right now to lead our country, and the fact that we are even remotely talking about the real possibility of going back to a demagogue. I just can't. I don't know. I'm without words there. But I don't know. How did the sort of politics that Ben was talking about sort of make you feel? Did you feel at all comforted by anything, like knowing did knowing make you feel more comfortable, or were you like, oh, we're sure what's?
I don't ever feel that way, I don't think.
Oh, good. I'm glad
I
to hear
actually feel like there's just a lot more we need to work towards improving. And for me, it always falls back on misinformation. I think that's the biggest issue. Maybe that, and then money and politics as our two biggest issues, because everyone has a platform. I mean, you and me are bozos, and here we are with microphones in front of us and people who listen. But there's so much media illiteracy and media manipulation, and also newspapers are for profit industries. Newspapers are reputable newspapers are publishing clickbait.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that media for profit and clicks for profit.
It's such a mess. I just did an episode on another podcast where I was talking to someone who used to work at BuzzFeed, and she is now creating this sort of new PR company it's pretty cool. But she just talks about how the current system is so messed up that like even Forbes and all these like really popular these used to be trusted sources now sort of play this game of, you get a PR person who pitches a story, the person who wants the story to be published pays to write the story for the publication, which they then just sell ads against, and they do no other real work other than just publishing it and distributing it to their audiences. And there used to be a journalistic lens,
integrity.
Some integrity or like some filtration that used to go through, be like, hey, is this a story that is actually meaningful, or is this just someone just like selling us a bill of goods? That piece doesn't really matter anymore. And there's so many, it's just like a glut of that stuff that is now mixed in with journalistic news, and it's completely shattered public trust in like any of these institutions. It is it's a huge challenge.
So I think that's a thing to take on. When I think about like hope or hopelessness, it just adds to my to-do list of things that I'm going to personally tackle with all my free time.
I know. I was like, how do you personally tackle that? What are you going to do?
I don't know. I don't know. But I think talking about it is a first step. I think looking for people who are similarly minded, who are doing good things. You know what I think is actually, this is really true when we talk about like people who don't have kids or people who do. It's a lot harder to be an activist when you have a kid. It's a lot easier to be empathetic and activated without the time or resources you need to take action. Before I had kids, I was standing there closing down LAX and going to Greek islands and raising money and doing all these things to help different causes. And I don't know if this is an excuse now, but I don't have the same bandwidth to show up even like a day at the polls,
But then there's like people like Jessica Jackley, who we've interviewed.
Yes.
Who have 3 kids and are still like incredible activists.
4 kids. Things. Yeah.
4 kids, right?
I know. So I know that I understand that half of what I'm saying is an excuse, and also this is true.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Okay, last thing I want to talk about, if I may, is a book that you brought up in the last episode called The Panda Problem.
Oh, yeah. Did you read it?
Which I have since gotten and read for my son last night, and we were both giggling. He rarely giggles at a book, but we were both laughing out loud. And okay, so for people who haven't read this book, I think it's actually a great book for creatives, because It's a book about a narrator and a panda having a conversation. And the narrator is not really supposed to be an opinionated character in a story. And yet the character sets up the world of this panda that lives in a bamboo forest. And then the panda has to overcome something, yet the panda has nothing to overcome. So it's kind of this dialogue between a character and a narrator. And for me, as a creative person, it really resonated with me, even though he loved it and wanted to read it again after we finished it. For me, I loved it as like this is when you sit down and look at an empty page on your computer screen because you need to start writing something. And you're like, okay, so 2 women walking down the street talking about a date. It's like you're just trying to find something, but there is nothing there. And so that nothing talks back to the writer. The narrator is basically the writer, right?
Yes.
I love when a children's book is a little bit for the adult as well.
Oh, totally. Especially for the creative adult. I think you're right. I will say that when my son and I get into like those bathtime D&D stories, if it's going nowhere a little bit, he'll be like, well, what's the problem? He will say, so what's the problem that we're having? And I'll be like, oh yeah, okay. I got to he like can intrinsically kind of feel that when the story's getting a little flat. Yeah, we need like a little conflict. It's like suddenly a witch has to come down, raining like, fireballs from the sky or something, and he's gonna have to deal with it. It's a great device to introduce your little kiddos into how to craft a story, and it works at a very young age. It's kind of never too young. I'm pretty sure it was around 3 when we started reading it with our little one too.
Also, another thing you mentioned, I'm now remembering in the episode with Ben, is how your son will be like, I'm the fastest person in the world. And you're like, hold on, we don't need to be the fastest. But I wonder if that also comes from a need to have a problem. Like, there's a thing I need to overcome. There's a challenge here and there's a happy ending at the end of it. Like, I wonder if that's actually just a human trait of like creating story. And part of being the fastest is a story.
This is sort of basically why when people present me with the idea of heaven and hell, that I choose hell. Because I feel like it would be a challenge. There's levels of hell. It feels like there's a way to escape and to like work it out. Whereas heaven sounds boring to me. It's like all jelly beans all the time. And you're just like, I think it's boring. I feel like that would be our own. I think you are right. Like if you haven't seen The Good Place, by the way, as a show, like you need to see The Good Place. I think it encapsulates this perfectly, that like actually our real hell would be heaven. And like we need to feel like we are climbing and we're growing. I think it comes down to growth. I think we feel the best when we feel like we are growing.
Which brings us back to parenthood.
Yeah.
Which is there is like a challenge in it that gives us a fulfillment.
Because we're opting in to be like, okay, this is going to be so hard, but I know that out of this, somehow I'm going to grow. That's the choice, I think. If you can at least frame it that way, it'll help you.
And care more and feel more. And I think that's something you told me actually before either of us had kids, when I asked you if you wanted them and you said, definitely. And I said, really? Yeah. And you said, yes, I think I want the full spectrum of the human experience.
Yeah, it's like it sounded like to me like if I'm going to go to a theme park, like I want to go to all the parts. And so it'd be like, well, like, there's a whole Pioneer Land. Like I'm not supposed to go in, like I can't go in there. Like I want to go in there and check it out and see what it's like.
And that being said, I also, I've joked with you before, like I can't decide if I want another kid or if I shouldn't have had this one. Like I have both of those feelings at different times. Yeah. And I almost never really think I shouldn't have had this one, but I think a lot about what my life would have been like without my son. And I really believe that I would have always wondered what my life would have been like if I did have one.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And then the other thing is I probably also would have had a completely different full spectrum of emotional experience. Like, I actually don't think that having a kid is the only way to do it. I think there are so many other incredibly fulfilling accomplishments. We just happen to get this one.
Well, beautifully said.
This is a pretty full circle episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure was. Yeah, my takeaways, when in doubt, play harder. I also like this whole bit about treating the audience as like geniuses. I thought that was a cool thing.
Oh, I love when he said that.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to like the mouse experiment and expecting greatness from our children.
Yeah, man. I will say that if my kid was Ben Sheenan grown up, when he grows up, that would be pretty cool. I'd be pretty good with that.
Yeah, he's not my kid, and I'm proud of him.
Yeah, seriously. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Your Mom is a Check-In. Please subscribe on all the things, right? The Apples, the Spotifys, wherever you listen to them podcasts. It's been lovely. Have a great day. And hey, don't freak out. Just play harder. Just play harder.
Play harder. Love harder. Dream bigger, America.
Milana for president. Your Mom is a Podcast is hosted by Milana Weintraub and Sandeep Parikh. It is executive produced by Milana Weintraub, Sandeep Parikh, and Stephen Hine. Editing and sound design is by Sean Marr. Music by Matt Friedman. This podcast comes from Effin' Funny Productions and Story Mill Media. Be sure to follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at Your Mom is a Podcast.
Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.